Okay. Oops. Okay, I'm live here on YouTube. I'm just waiting, and on Facebook. I'm just waiting for people to turn up. So just be sitting here talking to myself for a second here. Anyway, while we're waiting, if you're already here, no one is. Anyway, yeah, no, I got people turning up on Facebook. Anyway, welcome. I'd love to know where you're from while we're waiting for people to turn up. So what part of the world are you in? I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So hi, Moody Beauty. It's been a while. Not for me. Where have you been? Sydney. Orlando, Florida. Might have been a while for me. I keep trying to do daily lives. I just never seem to get around to doing it. Anyway, I really want to get back into doing daily lives. I keep saying that. I did daily lives for a couple of years, and then I got away from it. You've been busy. Oh, so it was you. Okay, you've been busy. Hope it's for a good reason. Okay, hi, Bella Crush. So where are you guys from? Manda Ann. That's a cute name, Manda Ann. Good evening. Oh, I can't say this name, but I had a client a year or two ago, had the most beautiful name. And I said, were you born? Like, was that your real name? And no, they had changed it. It's just just rolls off your tongue. It was just beautiful. But yeah, if I'd thought of that name, I probably would change my name to that too. Okay, United States in the state of Missouri. Amanda Ann. Don't think I know where Missouri is. I'll look it up later. Thailand. Hi, Cartoon Idsing. Hope I said that right. My kids love you and your leadership style. They even say other people's parents should listen to Lisa. How cute. Actually, I've heard that before. You know what? Because you're accountable too. You're on that behavior board. Kids love it when they get to punish their parents, and they should be able to. You know, you lead by example. You don't lead by telling them what to do. You lead by showing them what to do. So if you make a mistake, you got to make amends. You got to have a consequence. My 3-year-old learned a new word at daycare last week. Shut up. That's 2 words. Yeah, I would put down on the behavior board, I would say no bad words or name calling. And I would put shut up in the bad words. So you can't put attitude on the behavior board, but you can put no bad words or no name calling on there. A little town called Ider, Alabama in the United States. Ider. Why does that sound familiar? Don't know. Long Island loves your life. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get going with the. Oh, this is cute. The kids like me to buy a slushie when I mess up. That's good. Do they get a lot of slushies? Okay, let's get going with the live. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses. I have one for the boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. I do have a big wait list for that, but I'm getting through it eventually. I'll get to you. And the podcast, my daughter and I do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and you can watch us do the podcast if you want on YouTube. We save them all on there. Anyway, and YouTube's growing now. YouTube's it's a search engine. It's not social media. It's kind of confusing. I don't really understand it. Who am I kidding? I don't understand anything anyway. My daughter does all that stuff. She does all the online. That's not true. I grew my TikTok channel all by myself. And then she came on board full-time last year. And then she built Facebook and Instagram. Do you know how I grew my TikTok channel? It's my biggest platform. I was just standing 3 years ago. I took my camera and I just was holding it, looking at myself in the mirror and talking. Just blew up overnight. I'm just old lady talking about parenting. And I thought TikTok was just all about 12-year-olds dancing. It used to be 3 years ago. But yeah, it was just bizarre how it just blew up overnight. Syracuse, New York. Boy, you would not know how to pronounce that if you hadn't heard that before. Hi, Ashley. Okay, so Vancouver, BC. We just started the behavior board. So far, so good. Excellent. I'm in Vancouver also. So I know whenever people recognize me on the streets, they go, "I didn't know you were from here." I usually say I'm from Vancouver, but you don't need to know where I'm from. It's not that interesting. Doesn't make any difference to any of this information. Okay, Becca says, what about bedtime, screaming, hitting, fights? Put down on the behavior board, if they're 3 and over, you put down follow bedtime routine. That's the first part, is how to get them in bed. It's bath, pajamas. If they don't, the next day you go to the board and you say, last night you didn't follow the bedtime routine. The second part to bedtime battles is how to keep them in bed. That part you don't put on the board, but you just keep putting them back to bed, putting them back to bed. And it goes into great detail in my courses, but basically the first time you put them back to bed, because once you say lights out, that's it, good night, you don't want them getting up again. But when they do, the first time you walk them back to bed and you say, I said it's bedtime, don't get out of bed again. The second time you walk them back, say one word, bedtime. Every time after that, might be 50 to 100 times. You don't stand over the bed, you leave the room and and then walk them back in. You don't look at them or talk to them, okay? They'll eventually get it. It's one of the hardest things I teach, but it's also one of the ones with the best results is bedtime battles. It's one hell of a night, but yeah. One of my least favorite topics is mealtime battles. It's one of the least successful things I teach. It's just really hard. It's around food, so they need to eat. So you have to get them to eat. You can't force feed them to eat. It's a difficult one. So I hate it when things are more gray. I mean, my methods are black and white, but the outcome is kind of gray. You got to be really consistent with mealtime battles because it is around a necessity. They do have to eat, and yet anyway. Okay. What is a behavior board? I have it on my website. It's completely free. It's called BratBusters.com. You can look on there. Basically, it's rules and consequences for every member of the family, 3 and above. You're on it too. If you're not on there, you're not a leader. You're just a dictator. Okay, so you have to be accountable. There has to be a rule for you and a consequence if you don't do it. A rule for you could be no yelling. You can't put that for the kids though. That's in the attitude department. You cannot put anything attitude related for the kids. Like you listen to me the first time, respect me. That you're basically asking them to respect you, but you haven't earned it yet. You got to earn that. But your rule might be no yelling. So if you yell, then you have to play hide and seek with them for 10 minutes. Like someone on YouTube here said, she said whenever she messes up, she has to buy her kids a slushie. So whatever, you do something nice for them. And it's completely different from a reward chart. I hate reward charts. They're horrible. They work great at school, but this is not school. A lot of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I could never do their jobs, the utmost respect for that, but those are businesses. They're not personal. Home is personal. Parenting is personal. So reward charts can work really well at school. They don't transfer over to the home at all. A reward chart for good behavior, you're saying to your child at home, you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. Imagine if your husband or wife had a reward chart for you. If you're good today, you'll get a gold star. How patronizing is that? What an insult. Yeah, it says it's the worst message. A behavior board says, look, you're normally wonderful. If you should happen to do something bad, there's a consequence. That's what the behavior board's for. You see the difference? Huge difference. Okay, I want to channel you, but I find it hard. I don't know what that means. I like how you're just very matter of fact. I don't know how to not wear my feelings on my sleeve and feel irritated most of the time. Yeah, that's the biggest challenge in coaching by far is how do I not show my anger because it's certainly there. That's just practice. That's not something, I don't have a great saying for that. There's nothing I can really come up with to help you. That is your personal battle. Changing yourself is the hard part. I've taken a lot of business courses and stuff throughout the years trying to improve my productivity and different systems and all that, but it's hard to do them. It's hard to change. I get set in my ways. I got a pretty good system. I kind of one piece of paper here, but it's all online. Then I print some out. Every day I try and come up with something new because I've always got all these priorities, but I always want to do the more fun stuff. And so, yeah, we all struggle with certain things. Okay. It's really hard to change, but that is your personal challenge. I got my own challenges with, being organized. I'm very organized, but just getting stuff done in the way they should be done, in the order they should be done. Ask my daughter about that. I'm always in trouble with her. We work together. But yeah, it is your personal challenge is not to wear your heart on your sleeve. But when you're playing with them, let it fly. Be happy, be crazy, be goofy. That's when you show your emotions, is when everything's good. You're calm during the storms, which is the discipline. Then you're crazy during the rainbows, which is when you're playing with your kids. Or basically any other time. You can be crazy, show all your emotions. If you show anger, frustration, or disappointment, you're not a leader. Yeah, you don't do that. Yeah. It's challenging. I've never said it was easy. What do you think about co-sleeping? I have no opinion on that. It's like homeschooling, religions. That's all personal, your own personal view. So I have no opinion on co-sleeping. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. If you want to homeschool. If you want to go to church or synagogue or whatever, do it. That it's all your own personal opinions, personal choices. Richmond, Virginia. Who is that? Jessica. Okay. Malakoff Malakoff, Texas. Never heard of that. How to get my 20-month-old son to stop saying no. You don't. You can't. You just ignore it. Like you say, okay, we're going. And he says no. You just hold his hand and take him anyway. My granddaughter says no to everything. So come on, hold my hand. We'll cross the street. She says no. And then she reaches up and holds my hand. She does it anyway because she knows that whoever says that something to her, it's going to happen anyway. Okay, up in your high chair. No, up in her high chair she goes. You know, it's hilarious because she knows that the word no doesn't hold any power when it's something that's going to have to be done anyway. She knows she has to hold your hand when you cross the street, so she just does it. But yeah, they often say no. It's very powerful. They kind of learn their own power, but it doesn't mean that you have to give it any credit. You know, if it's something that's got to, you're going to get in your car seat. No, put them in the car seat anyway. They learn what they can say no. Like if I'm playing with her and I said, do you want to read this book? And she says no, then we'll read whatever book she wants. Let them be in charge of the fun and the play. But everything else you're in charge of. Yeah, just ignore the no. Okay, my 5-year-old will freak at me, yell, scream. Okay, I don't need to read any further. That just means that he doesn't respect you or she doesn't respect you. I'm just reading if it's a boy or a girl. His, yeah, it's a boy. Yeah, he can't control his emotions because you're not a leader. Leaders calm them down. Leaders make them feel safe, secure, and just naturally help them regulate their own emotions. It's just the way it goes. Work on your leadership skills. Check out my free behavior board. It's on my website, and you get rules and consequences going with everybody. You're on there too. If you're not on that behavior board, you're not a leader. You're just a dictator. Okay, I teach leadership. You lead by example. You give respect to get it. So yeah, if he's freaking out and yelling, he doesn't feel secure, he doesn't feel safe, he doesn't have a leader. Okay, that's what that is. Unless there's some trauma going on, which I'm assuming you don't have. You know what I'm saying? I'm just assuming that there's no trauma. I do specialize in all that stuff, trauma and all that horrible, awful crisis work too. But that's not the norm. Usually it's not trauma. It's just that they don't have parents that they respect. What about 8-year-old hitting, throwing huge tantrums when he's not getting his way? Again, leadership. Everyone wants to fix the kids. It's never the kids, it's you. Do you think I'd have problems with your kids? Do you think they'd respect me and act differently around me? Probably, because I know how to get respect. It's never the kid. Everyone wants to fix their kids. We don't do that here. I fix and teach parents here. You lead, they will follow. Okay, you're following them. You're going on the low road with them, guaranteed. Exactly what's happening. You stay on that high, calm leadership road, they will join you there. They just will, okay? Because whenever parents say, you just don't know my kid, you haven't met my kid. Yeah, I have. I've met hundreds of them. Okay, those are all the kids I worked with. That's where I learned all this. I didn't learn a lot with my own kids. I learned all this with all the teenagers, toddlers, and kids that I worked with who were, a little bit defiant, to put it mildly. So yeah, those are all the kids I learned this with. And once you know calm leadership, once you know how to do it, you can always get respect. I've never met a kid I couldn't get respect with. Or teenager couldn't get respect with. So it's always you. Parents are very quick to blame their kids, but not themselves. I just don't think you know the power that you have. I find that quite fascinating. And well, I can kind of see that if you don't understand your own power, you don't realize how much power you can have over children. I can see that. But what I don't understand is when I say that, it's all you, not your kids. And they go, oh, way to shame the parents. And yet you'd rather blame your kids than yourself. I find that who do you love more, you or your kids? That's what I find weird. Most parents don't say that, or the parents who are like that, they don't watch me anyway. They don't want to be accountable, right? And that's what I'm all about. You want to be accountable. Do I switch a new role every week? No, it's the first 3 behavior boards are 3 different rules. Then after that, you go off the behavior board. That's the course. The boot camp course goes into that in great detail. But the behavior boards are just teaching you how to do this. Once you've learned, those first 3 weeks is just the training wheels with all this. Once you've learned that if they do something naughty, here's how you hand out a consequence, then you deal with everything. You don't need the boards anymore. You can have them, like I would never use a behavior board. There's no way I want kids looking at a board. I want them looking right at me. But I'm level 10 with this because I invented all this stuff, right? So, but if you're learning, you want those behavior boards to teach you how to do this. They're just teaching you, not about your kids, it's about you. Okay. I think that's it too. I don't think parents realize how much power they have. Have you ever had a mentor, someone that you look up to, a grandparent, a coach, a teacher? How much power do they have over you? What I mean is, if they make you feel good when you're with them, do they get the best out of you? Do you give them the best you've got? Probably. That's what leadership parenting does. You get the best out of your kids. And then when it's the parents who are the leaders, it goes to everybody. Like that, it becomes their identity around everybody. Whereas if it's just a teacher, you might go home and be rotten to the parents because you don't respect them. But you're great with that teacher that you look up to. But when the parents are the leaders, they tend to be great everywhere. They have that leadership umbrella with them all the time. Past the age of about 3 and 4, that's when it's really cemented. Okay. It was funny. My daughter and I, we're doing different podcasts right now, something different. You'll understand in a couple of weeks, it'll come out. And if you watch the podcast. Anyway, so we're doing this different thing on the podcast. And she's looking at me all funny. And she goes, yeah, we're going to have to cut this. You're getting too mad. So I was discussing something and I was getting really heated because whenever it's something that I know people argue with me on here, it was around ignoring tantrums. And I know what I'm doing here. I know the importance of effectively ignoring a tantrum. I know how important it is, but I know there's so much misinformation out there about tantrums. It drives me nuts. And I was getting really heated. My poor daughter, she has to edit all this stuff. She goes, yeah, Mom, calm down a bit. Come on, take it down a notch. And I'm like, okay. She's a very level-headed. I'm emotional. I don't really have a temper by nature, but I do get really, into it. I get very into stuff. I get very excited. So yeah, she goes, yeah, you're getting too worked up there. And she's very level. She always was, even as a little kid, even as a baby. She never cried or anything. Very level. Nothing like her mother. Okay, my 3-year-old daughter is normally very good. When she makes a mistake or misbehaving, she tends to over-apologize and gets sad when I call her out. Okay, that's because you do some blaming and shaming. That's why. Because there is shame around doing something naughty. There shouldn't be. So there should be no shaming, blaming, bullying around bad behavior. That's why I never discuss it. I deal with it. Oh, here's the mistake you made. You broke this rule. Here's your consequence. Okay? Over and done with. I don't discuss it. So you discuss it too much and you probably look disappointed in her. You probably say, why would you do that? So you cause that over guilt, that over shame. Okay. So that's something that you did so that you can undo it. It's always good to know what you've done wrong because then you can fix it. Right. So yeah, you've done too much shaming and blaming. Either that could be the other thing too. Although how old is she? Let me see here. 3-year-old, maybe not yet. By 4 or 5, they can do this. They act really shamed and humiliated so that you won't even punish them. I don't think at 3 she's doing that though. Like, oh, I'm just so awful. Oh, I can't believe I did that. They're just hoping they won't even get a consequence. It's manipulation. So, but I don't think she's doing that at 3. I already talked about bedtime. I won't repeat myself. Someone asked about bedtime on here. Yeah, I just discussed that about 10 minutes ago. You asked about teaching. I know nothing about teaching. I've spent thousands of hours in classrooms supporting teachers dealing with the difficult kids, but I know nothing about teaching. And there's not some stuff crosses over, but most stuff doesn't. Teaching is a business. Like a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists, and I couldn't do their jobs. Those are completely different things. A lot of that stuff does cross over, but a lot doesn't. Parenting is personal. It's not like any other relationship. So sorry, I can't give teaching advice because I have no experience teaching. Nor would I ever want to. I've spent enough time in classrooms to know I could never be a teacher. Never. I love bonding with kids, like mothering them, but that's not what teaching's about. Teaching, you got a whole bunch of kids and you got to balance it all out. I'm not like that. I get very connected with individual kids I've worked with, more like parenting. It's more personal. So yeah, I've watched so many. I remember once, and I've seen this a few times, but one in particular, I won't say what the teacher did, but because they forgot I was there, because I was there every day helping them out, like just dealing with the difficult kids and, working with them independently. So I'd be up the back of the class and every so often a teacher would do something they shouldn't have done. They just lost it. And then they'd instantly look over at me like, uh-oh. And I would go like this, oop, didn't see a thing. I didn't blame them one little bit. They lost it. I thought I would have lost it way before they did, I'll tell you. I have the utmost respect for teachers. Yeah, I just didn't see any of that stuff. It's quite fun. It was nothing awful, but you know what I mean. They just lost it and did something they shouldn't have. It's quite funny. Okay. I have a 6-year-old. I have 6-year-old twin boys and an 8-year-old daughter. Your videos have helped us so much watching from Windsor. Oh, okay. I appreciate that. I put a lot into these. Most of our content is all free, obviously. So yeah, we put a lot out there. I think my daughter says she does 2 videos across the board every single day, and we do 2 podcasts a week. So a lot of our content is free, or most of it is. And yeah, those 2 podcasts a week. It only takes us like an hour to film it. By the time we've set up and everything, but it's all the editing. My daughter does all the editing. It can take hours and hours to edit a podcast. So, and I need a lot of editing because I don't have a filter. I just let everything fly. So my poor daughter. Okay, your 7-year-old goes off the handle every time he gets told no. That just means he doesn't respect you. That's on you. Work on yourself as a leader, and that will not happen. Get the free behavior board, start there. If he's 7 years old, you might even want to look into the boot camp course for older kids, 3 to 12-year-olds. It just goes into great detail about how you set yourself up as a leader. Remember, we're not fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. Okay, you lead, they will follow. You can't fight with a calm, loving person forever. You're a very calm, loving parent, but you're very fun during the crazy fun times, right? So when you're playing with your kids, you can be crazy and wild then. But when you're disciplining, no emotions, none. It's like a business transaction. Like if a kid does something bad, I would say this. I'd say, oh, I see you hit your little brother. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to let him play with your favorite toy for the next 30 minutes, okay? So that's how I would do it. See my tone? Zero anger, zero judgment, nothing. I just hand out a consequence and then it's forgotten. So what do you do after using the behavior board successfully for 3 weeks? That's basically the course, the boot camp course. The behavior board is just the training wheels with all this. But I've said this many times before. Once you've done those first 3 weeks, then you go into in-the-moment discipline. You deal with everything. It doesn't have to be on a board. They know right from wrong by the age of 3. You don't have to say it ahead of time. By the way, don't do this or that or that. Every time they do something naughty, you just say, oh, I'll tell you what, that wasn't a very good choice you just made. Here's what we're going to do, and hand out the consequence. If they're rotten all day long, 3rd strike, you're out. But the 3rd time they do something bad, you say, I'll tell you what, we'll discuss this later or after dinner. So after dinner, you discuss it and you say, I'll tell you what, you did several things bad today. The first 2 we did the first consequences for, the positive action. If you've seen the behavior board, you'll know what I'm talking about. So then you say, okay, so you did several more naughty things today. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go straight to the negative deprivation consequence. So no TV for the next 24 hours, something like that. So you bundle up the whole bad day. But you see how I'm talking? And when you're saying, we'll discuss that after dinner, we'll discuss that. Every time they do something naughty, you address it, but you don't deal with it until after dinner because you can't be addressing something all day long if they're rotten all day, right? They just have a really bad day. You're going to bundle it all up, deal with it later, and come in with a big consequence at the end of the day. Oops. Okay, what advice do you have for parents of babies approaching toddlerhood to prepare for leadership and help support them with consequences, etc.? Yeah, I say babies are 0 to 16 months, and then toddlers are about 16 months to 35 months. You might want to check out my free behavior board. It explains it's the behavior board for 3 and above, but it also has a toddler section in there, and it's all free. It's just a mini course. It's the training wheels with all this stuff. So you want to play hard with your kids in their world, okay? Like you don't go to the nail salon with a toddler, you go to the park and roll down the hill with them. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. 3 is what I just said. You want to connect with them in their world, not in your world. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Whatever they're doing, you enter in their world. You enter doing what they're doing. And then you can change things once you're in their world. But yeah, you always enter in their world. Like when I go to the park with my granddaughter, she's 22 months old. I'm usually the only grandmother going down the slide. I mean, I just do everything, try and do everything with her. I got a bad back. I don't do everything with her, but I do a lot. Okay. And I do it in her world. Okay. Now, number 4 is discipline toddlers in their world. It's kind of similar. They're not about words. They're about actions. Okay. So when you're disciplining them, it's consistent corrective actions for toddlers, 16 to 35 months. So it's if they do something naughty, you say one word, no. It just signifies that you're going to take an action. So you go no, and then you remove them from the fun or the fun from them for a period of time. Number 5, stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Okay, imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Oh, a cute, this is really cute. Someone sent a DM or a comment or something. My daughter looks at all that stuff. I don't see it. And she said that someone sent tag me, and they dressed up their 2-month-old as a potato laying on a mattress for Halloween. Oh, that was so cute. I did coin that phrase. I don't know if anyone else uses it, but it's kind of what they are. They're potatoes laying on a mattress, right? They're just forming. They're brand new. Okay, and then when they're toddlers, they're potatoes on feet. So they're all feet, no brains. Cute as a button. Okay, I got to move over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, feel free. If not, I'm on YouTube, or else you can just leave. You want to check out my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, which also has a toddler course in there too. It's all free. And you can look at my big courses, the bootcamp courses. They're not free. I have one for toddlers and one for 3 to 12-year-olds. If you want to coach with one-on-one with me, that would be, it's on a big wait list. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get through it, but I will get to eventually for coaching. Anyway, and then if you don't want to do any of that, you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. She's the stable, calm one. I'm the crazy one. I've always been like this. I have no filter. And she edits a whole bunch of stuff out of what I'm saying in that podcast. I get really heated in the podcast. So yeah, we go into a lot more detail on that. Anyway, it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And yeah, it's doing really well. I won't say how we know, but yeah, it's the podcast is just taken off. So we're shocked at that. We just started it a year ago, and now we used to do 1 a week. Now we're doing 2 a week. So, and she puts a lot of work into that. So, and we really appreciate you listening to that. I tried listening to it. I know what happened. I thought, well, I got to listen to one of the podcasts because I never listen to myself. It's agony. And I was listening to it and I thought, wow, this is great. This is good information. I was really proud of it. Then I listened to another one and I thought, I didn't like that other one. So I guess they're not all gems. Probably I'm no good at marketing, obviously, but I thought that first one was brilliant. And the second one, I thought, I just found it boring. But it's really hard to listen to yourself too. Anyway, if you want to watch the podcast, it's on YouTube. Anyway, I'm hopping over to Instagram now. Whenever I do a live, I'm on YouTube the whole time. And I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, my smallest platform up to my biggest. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. Sorry, YouTube, you have to watch me push all these buttons. There's millions of them. Okay, Instagram. Whoops, wrong button. I keep changing the buttons that you have to push. Which when you're young is easy, but at my age, it's harder to, I don't adapt that quickly. I remember hearing this years and years ago, like I'm 65 now. And I can remember hearing years ago, they say you don't get dumber, but you get slower. You don't think, because there's so much more in your head. You've got a lot more wisdom to process everything with, right? So it just takes longer to process everything. So evidently we're not dumber as we get older, but we don't think as quick. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, we get a lot more wisdom in there to process it with, right? When you're young, not a lot of wisdom yet. I thought that was interesting. What a nice way of saying that we're senile. Okay. I can tell I'm definitely don't think as quick. Except stuff like parenting. That's easy, right? Because that's my specialty, right? But other stuff, whew, no. Expecting daughter at the end of January. Congratulations. I haven't got any advice. Just love them up. My attitude with babies is just love them up. They cry, I pick them up. I talk to them. I talked to my son and smiled at him so much in that first year he was born. He was my first, that my jaw hurt for the whole year. I went to the doctor and I complained, and he says, what are you doing? And I don't know. And I was holding my son. I was smiling and talking. And he goes, do you look like that all day at him? I said, yeah. So that's how, look at them, smile at them. When he cried, I picked him up whenever you can. If a baby cries for attention, I pick them up. Yep. Love them up. Makes them feel safe and secure and loved and all that stuff. So, okay. Welcome to the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my bootcamp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can get on the wait list for coaching if you want to work with me. I will get to it eventually. I think it can take anywhere from usually a month to 3 months for me to get back to you. I don't know. I just upped the price again to sort of manage the wait list, because I figure the more I charge, the less people will go on the wait list. It's just gotten busier. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, so if you want to work with me, that's the coaching. It's all on my website. Anyway, also the podcast is completely free and there's no wait list for that. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. My daughter and I do it together. And it's also saved on YouTube if you want to watch us do the podcast. And we have a whole library, so you can look up any topic and you'll see all the podcasts that are about tantrums or about teenagers or whatever. Anyway, because we've done, I think, over 100, about 105 of them by now. I'm not sure. She knows all that stuff, not me. My daughter, she does all the marketing and all the planning for the business. I just do what she tells me most of the time. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. My son is 2.5 years old and has huge meltdowns when other children come over and play with his toys. He can't share. Is there any tips or just wait out the phase? Oh, very good. Wait out the phase and warn friends. Yes, use humor with that. By the way, my kid's a pain in the butt. He won't share and laugh it off, right? That's what I would do. Wait it out. Just wait it out. He'll eventually learn. So yeah, I like that, warn friends. Reminds me of once my son was having a tantrum in a mall or somewhere. And you know, every so often you get someone looking at you like that. And I said, kid for sale. No, never mind. I'll pay you. And they ended up laughing. Doesn't bother me a bit. I knew what I was doing. It didn't bother me that he was screaming. Okay. Same consequences every week on the board for my 3.5-year-old son and us parents. The only thing that needs to change from week to week, and you only have 3 different behavior boards, is the kids' rule. Nothing else has to change. The consequences can all stay the same. Your rules can stay the same, but the kids' rule should be different each week. It's funny because kids don't usually notice that your rule doesn't change. Why is that? Why do kids not usually notice? Sometimes they do, but more often than not, they don't. Why do they not notice that their rule's changing, but why do they not notice yours hasn't changed? Because they're all about me. All they're looking at is their own rule. It's quite fascinating. And this is funny too, is your consequence, if you yell at them, you can't put no yelling for the kids, but you can put it for you. So if you put down no yelling for you and you yell at them, your consequence is something fun for them. So it would be like hide and seek for 10 minutes or something. Not one kid, and a lot of parents have said to me, aren't the kids offended that playing with them is a punishment for us? And I said, not one kid has ever complained. They're just so thrilled that you're playing with them. Anyway, this is cute. One mom said, actually, my son did. And I said, really? And she goes, yeah. She goes, he complained that my consequence was fun instead of punishment. He didn't realize that her playing hide and seek wasn't fun for her. So they actually never care. They don't take offense to that, put it that way. Or if they do, I've never heard of it. In 20 years I've been doing this, and I've never heard of that. Okay. Oh, and I just want to say, if you do recognize me out in the streets, I don't mind you taking pictures. It does happen. Believe it or not, it's just me. But anyway, just make sure if I'm with my granddaughter, do not include her in any photos. Okay. Yeah, just that came up the other day. And so, because I have her I have her 1 day a week. So, and usually when I have her, I'm around other young moms and doing family stuff. So that's when I tend to meet a lot of young moms and get recognized. Anyway, just putting that out there. You go ahead if you want to take a picture of me. I don't understand why, but if you do, that's fine. But just make sure you leave my granddaughter out of it. Okay. You said your 4-year-old son said he's scared of everything during the day and night. Is there any advice? I don't know I can't assess that. That would be coaching. I would have too many questions. Like, when did this start? Is he scared of school? Is he scared at home? Is he scared when you're in the car? Like, when did this start? Or is he scared just more at night? And what's the payoff? What do you do? How do you respond to that? Is he crying? Is he screaming? Is he not scared when he gets ice cream? Like, in other words, if he gets a treat, all of a sudden he's not so scared. You have too many questions. I can't give you a general answer. Seems like an easy one, but no, it's not. Okay. This is Puffin237 on YouTube. My son is 3.5 years old. He has difficulty getting things done in a timely manner. He has meltdowns when things aren't done in the exact sequence and gets obsessed over situations. Has difficulty moving forward. Make things more clear and simple. So you might say something like this. You have to, the rule for him would be on the behavior board. Put your shoes, jacket, and bag away within 5 minutes of arriving home. And you can literally even tape off with painter's tape a little square for where his shoes go. Put tape around his hook where his jacket goes. You know, have it extremely organized, like a real system. Like you go to school, they have the kids' names on everything. They all know which cubby is theirs, which desk is theirs. So make everything very clear. Maybe you're a little bit more chaotic. Maybe you're not as organized. That could be it. I'm not OCD, but I would be borderline for sure. I like everything very organized. I don't like chaos at all. I don't like a mess. Even when I put a pen down, I have to fight the urge to not line it up. I try and act like it doesn't bother me, but yeah, so I've got issues around that stuff. But I'm not OCD. He has the system which works, but if one thing is off, he loses it. I don't know what you mean. He has the system. You have the system. Why does it have to be off? I don't understand why it's off. Mask out where his shoes go, way bigger than the shoes, so it's not going to be off. How can a hook, his bag, how can his jacket not go on a hook? Like I'm wondering, what do you mean by off? That's what I'm questioning here. So I don't understand that. Oh, I don't let anyone on my lives, by the way. I only did it once years ago. I won't go into it. Total disaster. Okay. 16-month-old won't let me put her in the car seat, stroller, high chair. I usually have to distract her with a toy. Okay, so you're rewarding her. You're using diversion. You never divert with broccoli. You always divert with something fun, and that's reward. So she's learning that if she puts up a stink, then she'll get a treat. So yeah, I don't. If they won't get in a car seat, I just hold them over the car seat, kicking and screaming. I don't look at them or talk to them. And then as soon as I think they're weakening a little bit, I fold them in and just clip them in as best I can. But yeah, you don't talk to them or look at them. And you do not give them a toy. She's 16 months old. That's when it turns. Before then, you might use distraction, but I don't use it at 16 months. 16 is when they go into the toddler years. That's the way I look at it. Okay, my 3-year-old's that way too. If you help her with her seatbelt and do it in the wrong order, she will get tense and have a meltdown. Okay. Okay. I'm going to question this. What I mean by that is it could just be that it upsets you. It might not be that it upsets them. They're just looking for any reason to get under your skin. It could be that. It might not be though. But yeah, it could be that just if they put up a bit of a stink, then you get all upset. It gets the attention going. It gets the energy going. They find that they feed off of that a little bit. I'm guessing it could be something like that. So yeah, just don't get upset by it. They can get as upset as they want. Just don't let you get upset. And don't try and talk them out of it. That's feeding it. But okay, so I'll do it this way. Is this okay? You know, all that begging and groveling kind of tone that some parents get. Okay, so do you want to look at this toy? Okay, that's what they're feeding off of, is that energy. I would just say, you'll survive, and put them in there anyway. That would have been my mother. That's my mother's tone. If I was acting like that over something, she'd go, oh, you'll live. And I would have gone, oh, okay. Whereas my dad would have gone, okay, well, how about this way, sweetie? I would have got worse and worse and worse. Yeah, no. My mom would have said, you'll survive. And I would just go, okay. You see the different energy? My mom was the leader. It's like that when my daughter, she was Velcro with me. She just was attached to me all the time. So, but I was very good at pushing her out. Like I went to the gym every morning. She went in that daycare. They said she'd just sit there waiting. She'd be sitting there by the door and wait for me to come back. But she never cried. She wasn't a crier, but she just loved mom. But too bad, you know, you got to learn to get out on your own. And plus, I used to go to this gym and work at this. I was an aerobics instructor. I used to work at this one specific gym because the daycare had glass and she could see me up on stage. And this is what I saw when I looked over at her. Like, I get a grip, kid. Anyway, so I remember when I first put her in ballet class, she was 3 years old. She did not want to do it. And I'm 20 feet away from her. I'm right there with all the other moms. And she had this little tutu on. She looked really goofy because the tutu had dropped down. It was almost around her thighs. It looked hilarious. Anyway, I was watching her and she was looking all sad and pathetic. Anyway, she looked over at me all sad. And this is what she saw. Like, you'll survive. And she just instantly looked away and then she was fine in the class. But don't feed that stuff, okay? I didn't feed it. If they're whining and complaining about something, then you'll be all right. Yep, there you go. Okay. So you said, we'll say moving forward and you'll get over it, but then 30 minutes will go back to whatever part of the sequence you missed in the routine and lose it again. Yeah, you're feeding it. You have to be feeding that. Like I said, my dad would have fed that kind of stuff. He would have tried to discuss and use the mini therapy session, talking me through it. Makes it 100 times worse. My mother was just like, yeah, it'll be okay. And then she just wouldn't have given it any attention at all. "20-month-old calling grandma mama. Grandmother responds, which I know doesn't help." Oh, well, my granddaughter does that all the time. She calls me mama just because she knows it annoys me. I'm grandma. I'm not mama. There's no one can replace mama. She's a mama's girl. But she just does it. She'll even say it to her dad sometimes. She's 22 months old because we always go, no, it's grandma, it's dada. So yeah, but I would never answer it. No, if she says mama, I just say, no, I'm grandma. She knows that. She always gets a smirk. How do you comfort a child after a tantrum when they don't want to be comforted? You don't comfort, you don't console, you don't reward a tantrum. That's consoling a tantrum. Never, 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 never. No, you don't do that. You don't comfort a tantrum. Nope. I won't go into it. If you want to know more about how I deal with tantrums, they're not big emotions and feelings. They're a loss of emotional control because they didn't get their own way. It's just anger. They're just mad because they didn't get what they wanted. I do not comfort that at all. Anyway, I've got tons of videos on tantrums. If you're interested, just Google BratBusters tantrums. Got thousands of videos on it. Two-year-old. Oh, this is interesting. Two-year-old. I have to grab her the second we come inside to take her shoes off, or she will run through the house. She knows it's coming and will hide. How on earth does she get away from you? If you know it's coming, why do you let her go? If I knew I had a 2-year-old who's going to run the second we get in the house, and believe me, there's no shoes in my house, I know I'm not letting go of them. So why are you giving her that power to run and hide? That's on you, not her. You got to control this stuff, and she'll learn. That's like someone said to me, how do I stop my kids from getting into the pantry? Put a childproof lock on it. If you've got a 2-year-old getting into a cupboard, put a lock on it. If you got a child who runs away, a 2-year-old child who runs away from you, hang on to them. You see, you're giving them too much freedom. You're making it too easy for them. Okay, so you got a 7-year-old. She's got 24-hour media blackout. And she keeps breaking the rules. Yeah, this comes up a lot. You just say, well, that's why you've got media blackout. Just say it once. That's it. Every time she does something again, just go, that's why. No big deal, right? So you're just reminding her. The thing is, you're investing in tomorrow. Everyone wants to fix everything right now. You can't. You're investing in tomorrow. She's got 24-hour media blackout. She knows she's got a whole free 24 hours to do whatever she wants because you can't do anything. Your hands are tired. That's okay. She'll think twice before doing it again, though. You're investing in tomorrow, not today. Sorry, I was going to answer that, but I don't understand it. It's about the crying and answering questions. I don't understand that. Two-and-a-half-year-old newly struggling with bedtime and all the demands/rituals. So I don't know who's struggling. The 2-and-a-half-year-old just keeps asking for more stuff. I'd just say, no, good night, and I wouldn't keep doing it. I need a hug. It's not a love hug thereafter. Once you've already hugged them, you read them in bed, books to them, you've done everything, and then they still, well, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm good night, and I'm gone. Yeah, it's just manipulation. It's just stalling because they don't want to go to bed. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here because people come and go. Yeah, you got a 16-month-old who won't follow you in public places. Do you put them on a leash? I would. It's safety. Do you want them to be taken by some creep or being hit by a bus? Yep. If you can't control them and get them to walk with you, they would be on a leash like that with me. It's safety. It's life and death stuff, right? It's like saying, well, what do I do if they don't like getting into a car seat? Put them in there anyway. What do I do if they run? Secure them, make them safe, right? It's a safety issue. So I'm just reading YouTube here. Okay. You got a 4-year-old son who started preschool this year and been a disaster for 2 months. He hits and pushes teachers when he is asked to follow instructions. Okay, that's kind of a big deal when you got a 4-year-old hitting and pushing teachers. What's he like at home? Now, is he really well behaved at home, and why? Is it because you give in to everything he wants and then teachers don't? That's usually why they act out at school. It's because you spoil them rotten and you just try and avoid confrontation by giving in to all of his demands. Teachers don't do that. So that's usually what it is. It means he doesn't respect you either. If he respected you at 4 years old, there's no way he would do that to anybody else. When they have a leader as a parent, they are, by the time they're 4 especially, they are under that leadership umbrella. In other words, their self-esteem is really high when they're with the leader. By 4 years old, they're formed that way, and they take your leadership umbrella everywhere. They treat you with respect, and they treat other people with respect too. So yeah, that means that you're probably spoiling him and catering to him at home. Okay, at school it's better. You still got to make sure you don't give in to all his demands at home. Don't try and make everything too easy for him. Make sure he has chores, he has routines and structure, things, and then when he doesn't follow that stuff, then there has to be a consequence. And play with him too, of course. The discipline is what everyone asks me about, but that's not what I'm all about at all. My superpower with kids was the connection. I made sure that they liked themselves when they were with me, and we had fun. That's the strength in all this. If you're just disciplining, it doesn't work. Okay, 2.5-year-old is just learning how to share. Everything's his. Okay, you can't teach a 2.5-year-old how to share. They don't learn empathy till they're 3 years and 9 months old. Empathy is the ability to understand that there's other people that actually have needs and wants also. It's 3 years and 9 months. Anyway, or that's the age that I put on that. And evidently they did a big study and they said it's 3 years and 9 months. I've been saying that for 50 years. Anyway, I noticed a huge shift. They have the ability to have empathy. And that's when they can actually really understand sharing. They're not just going through the motions. Anyway, you can't teach them how to share when they're really little, but you can teach them how to not grab. They can't grab things off other people. There's a difference between teaching sharing and teaching not grabbing. Sharing is a kindness, and not grabbing is not doing bad behavior. You see what I mean? It's just different. So yeah, if you grab something, you say no, give it back to the other kid, and then pull them away with you for a couple of minutes or whatever. That's not timeout because he's with you. Timeout is done when they're alone. I hate timeout. I think it's mean. Okay, 19-month-old doesn't speak but signs. What can I do? I can't address that because I'm not a doctor. That would be a doctor assessing the verbiage, the language skills. I can't assess that. But I've known kids who don't talk to their 3. And then I knew someone a long time ago. The mother, I think she exaggerated slightly, but she had a daughter and then a younger son. And the younger son got up and walked at like 9 months old, and the daughter was 2 or 3, and she still wasn't walking. She didn't walk or talk till she was 3. And then the mom said and the younger one, she'd just point and go, and the younger one would get her whatever she wanted because he was so active and she wasn't. But then the mom always said that at 3 years old, she got up and ran and never shut up. So yeah, they all have different, what do they call that, milestones? There's this, they should be doing this at this month and that at that month. I never worried about that. Lots of kids, talk. My son, I swear he came out of the womb talking. He talked a lot. And he laughed a lot and talked a lot. He was a very gregarious personality. And he wasn't active or a troublemaker, but he was very just socially, like very talkative and that. Whereas my daughter was more of the observer. So she was slower to talk and that. I think she couldn't get a word in because her brother and I talked so much. But yeah, they're all different. There's no perfect age for them to talk or walk or anything. I saw a YouTube video a few years ago. I looked up something like the youngest baby to ever walk, and it was something like 3 or 4 months old, and it was weird looking. And it was it wasn't AI. This was years before AI. And yeah, it was a really little baby walking. And it was walking like, but I don't know if it was getting itself up, but it was walking. It was weird. So go figure that out. That's really young to start walking. You repeat yourself. Yeah, I don't. I never say anything twice. I just doesn't. So, because if you start repeating yourself, they're going to wait till you yell because they know you're going to keep saying stuff and then you're going to yell, then they're going to do it because they know that you don't say what you mean and mean what you say. If I say something once, I mean it. Kids learn that. So yeah, that's why I don't, but I'm careful with what I say. I don't nag and I don't, I'm very careful with what I say. I don't say something unless I'm going to back it up with actions or consequences. Okay, you're asking about weaning. So you got a 13-month-old who starting to need the boob for comfort too often. Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on that because that's more of a medical issue. My son weaned himself at 10 months old. He was taking my boob with him geez, a fly would go by and he'd rip my boob over just to look at it. He wanted to be independent. So I was expressing for a while and then I gave that up and just gave him formula. And, but yeah, I gave him the bottle and I put him in his crib with a bottle. He was happier than anything at 10 months old. He could look around and he loved it. And that was my boob. He used to rip it around. I used to try and hang onto his head so he wouldn't do that. It was just awful. So 10 months old with him, my daughter, she would have been breastfeeding until she was 5. I mean, she loved the comfort, but I weaned her. I always said, once she's up and walking, that's it. Because I don't like breastfeeding. I'm quite not active. I'm not really overactive, but I certainly can't sit still very well. So I found it difficult breastfeeding. And so at 14 months old, she started walking and that was it. I weaned her right then. And it was just personal choice. Some moms don't even breastfeed or some breastfeed till they're 5. It's personal choice. Okay, I got to go. I'm just looking at my timer here. I lose track of time. I've got to go over to, oh yeah. Oh, wow. I got to move over to TikTok now if you want to join me there. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board. You can look into my boot camp courses. I have 2, one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that would be parent coaching. There's a huge wait list for that right now, but I will get to it eventually. Now, there's no wait list for our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. My daughter and I work together. She does all my marketing, all my planning. She manages all the podcasts and all that stuff. I don't know anything about that. Anyway, so it's all saved on YouTube if you want to watch us. And we do 2 a week. Anyway, thanks so much for joining. Oh, she said, what did she say? I was supposed to announce something. She always tells me what to do and I always forget. She goes, Mom, start talking about such and such. Shoot, what was it? I don't know. Anyway, I forgot. Anyway, I'm hopping over to TikTok and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Okay, I'm going to be staying on there right through TikTok. Happy parenting. Boy, it's raining out there. I can really hear it. Okay, that's a lot of buttons. Gracie Russ, turns out you were the problem. Yeah, it's always us. Kids are just reflective of us. So yeah, if they're acting out, look in a mirror. What am I doing wrong? When I was working with kids, and they weren't even my kids, I saw them for an hour a week. If I was mentoring a kid and they acted out with me, I always thought, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong here? Always take responsibility for kids' behavior. It's the only way to do it. Can't change them. You can't change other people. You can only change yourself. And once you're a good leader, they want to please you. It's a natural instinct to want to please a leader, to want to please someone that makes you feel good, which leaders do. When you say don't comfort a tantrum, does that include giving them a breastfeed? I'm not going to discuss breastfeeding, okay, because that's more of a medical thing. I'm not going to get into that. No, I'm not going to discuss it. That was on YouTube. Someone asked me that. Okay, so welcome to the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board or you can look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to hire me for coaching, that's one-on-one with me. That would be a big wait list for that. Sorry about that. It's all on my website if you're interested in getting on the wait list. Or you can look into our podcast. There's no wait list for that, and it's completely free. It's on all the platforms. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, and we film ourselves doing it, and we put them all on YouTube if you want to watch them there. Anyway, that's it. Let's get going with the questions. Also, I'm going to try and mix in more stuff because everyone just wants to know about discipline. That's not what I'm all about. I'm about connecting with kids. Discipline is just something that you have to do on the side. The more connected you are when you're a leader, you don't even have to discipline because they don't act out, right? It's very rare that kids act out with a leader. Why would they? It's like my son was 15 and he says, I could never even rebel. I said, I can't even rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I'm sorry. You can't rebel against a leader. Tips for teenagers wanting more freedom too fast. That depends. That's a gray area. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. It's my favorite age. I started my business specializing in teen crisis work, so it's my favorite age. Okay, this is my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway, okay? Number 2, negotiate as much as possible with teenagers, which would apply to your question. It may not seem like everything's negotiable, but it usually is. Just a really good example is, I want you home by midnight tonight. And then they say, well, how about 1? And then I would say, well, let's split the difference and say 12:30. You just negotiated when they come home. I don't do curfews with teenagers, but you can negotiate every time they go out. And they don't usually know what kind of time they're going to have. Like my kids knew if they went to a party, I had no curfew. I would just say, if you're having a great time, let's keep in touch throughout the night. And then I'll pick you up. It can be later. I might say, look, I don't want to stay up past 1, so I'll pick you up by then or whatever. But then sometimes they want to come home earlier. That depends on the time they're having. So negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? Like we all do dumb things. That's life, right? No shame in that. Also, number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. I'll often teach parents how to connect with their teenagers. And I say, do not discuss how they've disappointed you this past 3 years. Sure enough, every so often a parent slips through. And they say, but I didn't insult them. I just said, so nice that we're getting along because you've been so moody the last few years. And they can't figure out why they told you to F off and they left the room. You can't put that together. And then they say, well, when do we discuss the bad times? And I say, never. But parents want to do that. It's revenge. And I said, your revenge is when they're older and they complain to you about their own teenagers. And you can just sit back and listen with a smile on your face. It's a slow burn, but that's the only revenge you're ever going to get. If you have trouble with your teenagers, they'll have teenagers one day themselves. Number 5, with teenagers, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. You can't be both. A teenager will die on any hill. If they know they're wrong, they'll still argue it. So just say, oh, let's just talk about it later. Let's just forget it. Okay. And don't say, we'll talk about it when you've calmed down. That's insulting. So yeah, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy with a teenager. I remember years ago, someone asked me, they said, well, because I specialize in teen crisis. Oh, it was when I used to do a lot of TV. And one of the hosts asked me this and they said, well, why do you specialize in teenagers when it's so difficult? And it is. There's no guarantees with anything in coaching, but teenage stuff is by far the hardest to get the results, right? It makes sense, right? Because you've had 16 years of maybe not being a leader, and now it's trickier. And I said, well, that's why I enjoy it so much, because it is a lot trickier. And very few people specialize in teenagers because most people find them boggling. And I just love teenagers. I think they're fascinating. But the results come slow and they're hard. They're hard to get. So, and usually I say lower your expectations with teenagers too. Parents tend to expect too much. I have a 5-year-old that started kindergarten and now all of a sudden has behavioral issues. There's 2 reasons for that. Usually the normal ones, the average ones are that something's happening at school that's upsetting them. It might be a kid leaving them out of things or bullying them, or it might not be any big deal to us, but something that's bugging them at school. That's one reason. The other one is that you cater to them too much at home. So they're entitled. So when they go to school, they're not spoiled and catered to. That's why they act out at school. So that's usually the 2 most common reasons why they act out at school. Usually they're better at school and worse at home because teachers are usually more experienced leaders. But if they're not, that's usually the 2 reasons. Okay. I don't know if this is what happened. It's Tanya. I lost my boy at 8 years old, and now I'm a pleaser, and it's spoiling her personality. Any tips? So I'm assuming you lost your son when he was 8. If that's the case, I'm terribly sorry about that. And now you're overcompensating and spoiling your daughter. Is that what you're doing? Let's say that's what's happened. Okay. That's a lot of my clients and people I've worked with have had a child who's very ill, could even potentially be dying, like something, terminal, and they tend to just spoil them rotten. And I said, actually they're happier when they're with a leader. Children don't like being spoiled. In the moment, it seems exciting. It's that adrenaline boost, or what do they call it, endorphin or dopamine, when they get a new toy or something. But overall, they don't like being spoiled. They're happier with themselves and with life when they're with a leader. So if you want a child to be happy, it's usually leadership that brings out the best in them. And when I say the best, I mean the happiest in them. So, but yeah, a lot of parents struggle with that if they've got an ill child, is how not to cater to them. And spoiling and doing a lot of fun things with kids are two different things. When I say spoiling, I mean every time you go out to the stores, you buy them a toy. That's spoiling. But going out and doing fun things with them, that's not spoiling. That's just experiences and doing fun stuff with them, right? Oh, you're asking about, okay, I can't answer that because I'd have too many questions. Sorry, it's Puffin237. I did read your question, but I would have too many questions about that. It's a little bit more involved. Okay. Now you get a 7-year-old girl who's violent when she gets mad. Timeout, she punches the wall. What should I do? Well, get rid of timeout. I hate timeout. Try the behavior board. You might even want to look into my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. It's all on BratBusters.com. And the behavior board is completely free if you just want to start there. But if you're thinking of buying the course, don't start the behavior board until you've bought the course, because it's a lot more detailed in how you do it. Anyway, so yeah, you got some work to do there. She doesn't respect you. She has very little self-respect too if she's treating you like that. So check out the behavior board. Start there. It's teaching you how to give respect to get it. So yeah, you got a lot of work to do there. If she's 7 and she's lashing out physically at you, I call that red zone, especially past the age of 7. If they're hitting their parents, red zone, because it's harder to stop at that age. So you want to address that. And yeah, it's reversible. How do you deal with a toddler that only says no? You just ignore it. Okay, time to get in the car seat. No, put them in the car seat. Time to go to bed. No, I'll put them in bed. But let them be in charge of the fun. Oh, do you want to play with some Lego? No. Okay, what do you want to play with then? Let them be in charge of the fun. But stuff that has to be done, ignore the no's. Time to have dinner? No, put them in the high chair anyway. Just follow through with actions. There's so many questions on bad behavior, and I get caught up in it because I'm just reading all your questions. But discipline is not what I'm about at all. I'm about connecting with kids. A lot of people used to ask me, how do you get such good behavior out of kids? And I said, I play really hard with them in their world. I play with kids in their world. I connect with kids and teenagers. I don't play with teenagers, but I use a lot of humor and a lot of connection and a lot of bonding. That's the most important thing. It's not the discipline. It's the connection, the bonding, the relationship. That is your superpower. Makes them feel good. And if they feel good, they do good. If they feel bad, they do bad, right? So being connected with their parents who actually enjoy their company makes them feel good. And when they feel good, they do good. And if you're a source of them feeling good, how are they going to treat you? I remember years ago, one of the teenagers I worked with said, I didn't like myself until I met you, Lisa. It was one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me. That's what you want to do for your children. You want to make sure they like themselves when they're with you. That is your superpower, really. That they like themselves when they're with you, because you bring out the best in them. You make them feel good. You never yell. You don't show anger, disappointment, or frustration ever. That's insulting. And it brings out the worst in them. You just, like, if they do something really awful, you just say, "Whoo, that was a bad choice. Okay, here's what we're going to do." And you hand out a consequence. No discussing it, no shaming, no blaming, no saying, you know better, why would you do that? And you never say to a kid, we're going out tonight, be on your best behavior. What a rotten thing to say. Imagine if your spouse said that to you. We're going out for dinner tonight, be on your best behavior. What a rotten thing to say. Think about it. It's amazing what parents say to their kids without really thinking about it. How would you feel if your spouse said that to you? Why'd you do that? You should know better than that. Why would you do that? Yeah, you see all the stuff you say to kids that just drags them down. So I never talk like that. And I've worked with some pretty challenging kids and teenagers, and I never criticize them for bad behavior. It's going to get more of it. I'm just reading some of this stuff. I just have a whole bunch of notes when I'm doing lives, and I keep forgetting to look at it. Another thing that a lot of parents mistake is they think they want to increase their kids' self-esteem. So they use a lot of compliments and praise. Kids could care less about that. I don't care about it either. You spend time with me, laugh with me, make me feel good. That's what kids are like. Fun is my love language. Fun is kids' love language. I love laughing, being goofy. Kids love that too, okay? It's their love language. Now you say to a 5-year-old little boy, you're wonderful, you're special, I love you so much. You can do anything you want. You're so good looking and athletic. I'm going to go do the dishes now. Look at his face. That meant nothing to him. Nothing. You say to that same 5-year-old little boy, hey, what are you playing? Can I play too? Watch him light up. See, praise is overused and play is underused. Praise is okay, but I don't care much about it either. It's kind of empty words to me. It's just fluff. So same with kids. It's fluff. They don't care about it. So less praise and more play. Praise is okay if it makes you feel good to say it, but the kids don't care about it. I'll argue that one. I'll die on that hill, I'll tell you. So many people have argued that with me, but yeah, I'm going to die on that hill. Okay, this is interesting too. A lot of parents overpraise a child's natural gifts. Okay, like my son was labeled gifted at a very young age. And yeah, he's very good at thinking. He's a very good problem solver. He's got a different kind of analytical mind, for sure. But overall, he's no better human than anybody else. You know what to us he was, of course, but you know what I mean. And I never wanted him to feel proud of being gifted and smart, because that's a gift you were given. Be proud of what you do and your efforts, not be proud of the things that were just handed to you. Like, don't be proud of being really good looking. You didn't earn that. So it's not that I never talked about it. I mean, I just say you're very lucky. You were born with this brain that works, a really efficient brain. But I didn't want him to be proud of it, if that makes any sense. And some people argue that with me too, but no. I wanted him to be proud of, he was a nice kid. That's what I wanted him to be proud of, right? Think about that. Don't teach your kids to be proud of their gifts, but instead be proud of their actions. Can't take credit for being good looking. So I'm just reading all this stuff. Some of this stuff's really good, actually. I never look at it. Oh, I would love to read this out. One of my clients said something I thought was hilarious, and I always get permission. She goes, oh, you can tell anybody that one. I never use names, of course. But I said it once in a live, and then it was a joke, and it was very funny. But someone snotty on here insulted it. And I thought, if she's on, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that again. But I do tell that in I tell a lot of my coaching clients that she said something really funny. Now, a lot of connection with kids is silly. Kids love silly stuff. Like, I'm really good at silly. I love silly. It's my basic nature, but it doesn't come naturally to everybody. So one of my clients was so cute. She goes, I don't have a silly bone in my body. I never did. My daughter doesn't either. She's not silly at all. My son isn't that silly either, but I am really goofy. So it's easy for me to relate to toddlers. So this mom said she invented something. It was getting tense, and she had I don't know, 3 or 5-year-old little girl, and she was starting to get all mad. The little kid was starting to get all mad at her. And the mom said, just a minute, I have to answer the phone. She picked up the kid's foot and pretended it was a phone. Changed the entire energy in the room. It just flipped. And they were laughing, and that's what she does. She uses the foot phone whenever she needs to make a call. Isn't that cute? So she said, and I said, well, that was pretty silly. You do have some inner silly. I thought that was really cute. So she invented the foot phone. Oh, this is really cute. One of my clients said their kid said, 9-year-old, when he heard the parents hired me, he said good because you need it. Parenting coach. Oh, it was funny. Kids are great. Oh, and I'll just say one more. This is adorable. This one kid, it was a 7-year-old little boy, and it was with a coaching client. And he had 24-hour media blackout, and he loved his Switch or PlayStation. I can't remember, some gaming console. He didn't have it for 24 hours. Then he didn't know the mom was listening. And she says, okay, 24-hour media blackout's over. You can go back on the PlayStation. He sat down in the chair in front of it, and he said to himself, I won't be doing that again. So he learned, and he didn't get 24-hour media blackout ever again. Isn't that cute? Well, I won't be doing that again. In other words, he learned it was all up to him. You know, when your kids get this, when you're a good leader, they don't blame you when they get a consequence. They blame themselves. They go, whew, that was stupid of me, right? It's okay to make mistakes, but they don't get mad at you. They get mad at themselves, and that's okay. Oh, my view on screen time. Yeah, I don't have any real views on that. That's personal choice. There's no big studies on it that prove, oh, an hour a day is good, an hour a week, or no screen time. It's what they're watching. I think it's not even so much the screen time. Sometimes it's what they're watching. I'm not big on violent games for kids of any age, really. I'm not big on that at all. But but yeah, I think screens are here to stay. We're all on screens all the time. It's not evil. It's just the way it's used and the frequency with which it's used. That's all. But you got to decide that for yourself. There's no specific time that's great for any age. But by teenage boys particularly, and this happens a lot in coaching, and they'll say all they want is their phone all day, every day, all day. And all night they're up on their phone all night long. And yeah, they're very addicted to screens, and I get that, but they are here to stay. So you can't. You got to be reasonable with it, and your expectations have to be fair and reasonable because they're here to stay, and that's how they're communicating with everybody. And then you might say, well, we didn't need that. Yeah, but we didn't grow up with all that stuff either. I certainly didn't. And we didn't have the internet. I remember when the internet first came out. Wow. I remember that. Yeah. I'm on screens all the time. Hello, Doc. Haven't seen you for ages. Oops. Okay. Playing together versus independent play. How much time should I play to then encourage independent play? There's no time on that. It could be 5 minutes, 5 hours. I don't know. But what I did with my kids is I used to say, look, I'm going to play with you for, half an hour or whatever, or, I'll just say a little bit, and then I'm going to go do the dishes. So I would say, okay, so we're going to play another minute or so. So I would play, but then I'd go and do the dishes. But I usually would start playing with them with something, get them going on it. And I did a toy rotation, so they had a lot of different stuff all the time. And I would get them going with it. And then I'd get up, and then I'd still often be talking to them. So I was always around my kids. I don't happen to like playrooms. I didn't want kids off in another room. I like them around me. So when they were playing, I was usually chatting, or if I wasn't, I'd get them started, and then they'd play on their own. I just bought something. I want to get up and run and look at it and show you. I'm going to do it. I'll be right back. I just about fell. My leg fell asleep. I just bought this stuff at the store for my granddaughter, and it's called modeling foam. Have you ever heard of it before? Modeling foam. And it says it's from it says it's okay for this age, but modeling foam. Have you ever heard of that? Modeling foam. I have my granddaughter one day a week, and she's 22 months old. And I usually bring out something different. Sometimes I'll just bring out like recyclable stuff, like containers. She loves putting stuff in containers. You don't have to have anything big and expensive for kids all the time. I used to save a lot of, I'm just opening this up. I used to save a lot of toilet rolls and paper towel rolls, and then I would tape them all together, and I'd put them up high, and then I'd run marbles and that down them. They love that kind of stuff. I like making stuff out of just recyclable stuff. So I'm just opening this up. I don't know if anyone's, oh my goodness. It's squishy. Can you hear it? Oh, I think she's going to like that. Anyway, so I was just excited to open that up. Have you ever heard of that modeling foam? It's really cool. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I got to get going. I got a whole bunch of other stuff to do. I'm doing emails tonight. And yeah, sorry about coaching. I get a lot of complaints about the wait list for coaching. What I keep doing is I don't know what else to do. I keep increasing the prices to try and manage the wait list. They say that's what you do. It hasn't slowed it down, but I'll get to you as soon as I can. Coaching is it's like a premium service. You know, I've got lots of free stuff out there, and the courses are certainly not, like, coaching is expensive. There's no two ways about it. But I love doing it. It's my favorite thing to do. And when people do hire me for coaching, I talk fast, especially because I'm charging all this money for it. It's awkward. I mean, I want to be able to manage it. I thought about group coaching. It's not the same. Coaching one-on-one, it's personal. It's just, I get to know the parent. I can't give the same service in a group situation. We've thought about it from every angle. So I am really sorry about that. But that's why we do so much free stuff, because, you know, you don't need coaching in that there's always lots of free stuff out there, and the podcast is free. So yeah, I know we're getting a lot of questions about coaching, but we're doing the best we can trying to figure out this business. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but still it is stressful for me because I know there's people on the wait list and they may really need my services, but also most of my existing clients rehire me time and time again. That's why, you know, I can't take on as many new people as I'd like. But anyway, sorry about that. I'm doing the best I can here. Anyway, I got to get going. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my boot camp courses, one for 3-year-olds, 3 and above, and then toddler one. You can look into coaching, as I just explained. And the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And you can also watch it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. My daughter and I do it together. Anyway, happy parenting.